Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's morning musings is sympathy and empathy. I'm doing a series of daily morning musings, and I'm using posts from my blog, Adventures in Density and Effort, as inspiration. Now, I wrote these a few years back, and the world has completely transformed since then. So if I encounter anything that is out of date, I will give you the most recent information, and at the end, I will summarize the topic based on what's going on in the world today. Sympathy and empathy. Last week, I shared about my mother being diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I've learned a couple of great lessons about sympathy and empathy since then. When you go into sympathy with someone, you feel sorry for them. You acknowledge the things happening to them as painful, tragic, or overwhelming. When you feel empathy for someone, you feel compassion for them. You acknowledge that their feelings of pain or frustration are understandable. My final days of my visit with my mother were filled with finding caregivers, getting legal documents created, setting things up so my mother could be taken care of while I was gone. At the same time, I was dealing with shock and grief and needing to stay efficient and productive. Someone said to me, "We're worried about you." They lovingly dumped me with a big bucket of sympathy, and I never felt more incapable in my entire life. Sympathy is invalidating. Sympathy says you can't do or handle whatever you're doing and handling. Then I would go into sympathy with myself and say, "I can't do this." Immediately, I would say, "Yes, you can. You're doing it," because I was. Then I created support from all sorts of places. The universe doesn't give you anything you can't handle, but that doesn't mean you're handling it by yourself. A different point of view is you don't create anything more than you can handle or without creating others to show up to help. Helpful advice I received in dealing with someone with Alzheimer's is to express empathy. When they're upset they can't drive anymore, they can be told, "Yes, it's frustrating not being able to drive. You love to drive." With my mother, I emphasized that we're trying to keep her independent and in her home for as long as possible. The extra help coming in is because the neurologist suggested it, but I don't go into why the neurologist suggested it. 15 years ago, she was diagnosed with macular degeneration in her left eye, and she successfully kept it from spreading to her right eye by eating right and taking special vitamins. I remind her of that and tell her that she can do the same thing for keeping her brain healthy and staying independent, that it requires eating right, taking special vitamins, and being more social. She'd stopped going out except for one time a week when a companion aide would take her shopping. So she's allowing for volunteers to take her to church regularly and accepting the care managers finding a senior activity center for her, what I'm calling it instead of an early memory loss daycare. If I were in sympathy with her, the poor dear has Alzheimer's and she's just going to turn into a vegetable, I would be carting her off to assisted living in no time. My mother is an infinite being, actually creating a pretty amazing experience with this disease. I learned not to keep reminding her that she has Alzheimer's because she genuinely doesn't remember her diagnosis. And because she doesn't remember, she's not depressed that she has it. Everyone has a different journey with Alzheimer's. There's no predictable path of decline. Ronald Reagan stayed his same warm and loving presence until the end, even when he couldn't speak. Others retreat into fear, into the shell of their former selves. Because, and whether or not, there's no predictable path, my mother can experience it in her own unique way. After years of being alone, she's created me to show up and shine light on things. Right now, she's created a break for me and a bunch of new people in her life. She's never had so much attention. In July, she'll have me back again for an undetermined period of time as we explore what clinical trials are available. It'll be interesting to see what she creates then. So look at your own life and look at how you're looking at others' lives. Are you viewing through the lens of sympathy or empathy? Are you validating your and their capable creativity? This week, take the fuzzy sympathy glasses off and don the clear glasses of empathy and see how your life changes. And leave me a comment below when you do, because I love to read your comments. Again, I wrote this at a time I had no idea exactly what was coming up or how life would unfold in really shocking ways. I came out with 2 suitcases just to get organized, and like a month later, she fell and broke her pelvis. She went into the hospital, and I actually went in with her for 18 days. And there they discovered lung cancer, and DC had an earthquake during that time. I had made a comment recently about earthquakes and tsunamis. And the next year, there was a derecho. So there was a lot of wind and weather stuff going on as well. But it was a period of time for me where my life completely redirected. And it called on all my experience as a conscious navigator. All the things I knew at the time needed to add more information and create new ways of navigating as well. And it really helped to be viewing it as consciousness because I could also see my mother as consciousness, recognize that this was her slow birth back to spirit, and I could be there as her midwife, holding space until it was time for her to be caught on the other side. So if you like these videos, please share them with your family and friends and also social media. And please click the like button and subscribe, and that way you're telling YouTube to share this with more people and get this out to those who really need to see this information. And if you want a free sample of one of my consciousness techniques, click on the link below to the skybox technique. It'll give you an expanded perspective of your life and what's going on in your world today. And if you want some manifestation techniques, Manifesting Money and Miracles is my self-study course where you learn how to embody higher frequencies that create a complete transformation in your life. And if you want to know more, my website is joan-newcomb.com. There you can sign up for my individual sessions where I take a look at you as consciousness and what you're creating in your life today. And it can answer any questions you might have, and it's recorded just for you. And if you want to learn how to do this for yourself, Manifesting Money and Miracles is a great preparation for my coaching special where I work with you one-on-one and give you specifically chosen consciousness techniques so that you can transform your life. So go to my website, joan-newcomb.com, and I'll see you tomorrow in another Morning Musings.